What if I said to you, you're not stuck because you don't know what to do? You're actually stuck because some part of you is scared of what happens when it actually works. Yeah, we're going there. I've seen it so many times with not only myself, I will be totally honest. I have seen this with myself. I've also seen it with founders who are so brilliant, so capable, have so much knowledge, have incredible products, but they're holding themselves back. And it's not because they're lazy. It's not because they're unmotivated. It's not because they don't know what they should be doing. It's because success feels risky. It feels like more work, more pressure, more eyeballs, more to lose. So if you found yourself quietly self-sabotaging or dragging your feet on that pitch, ghosting your marketing, playing it a little safe on your pricing because you don't want to upset anybody, this episode's for you. So we're talking today about a mindset shift that changes everything. And that's radical responsibility, not the heavy, shamey kind. It's the kind that wakes you up, dusts you off, and reminds you you're not the problem. You actually hold all the power. Okay, let's get into the chat. Real quick, I need to tell you about something that's been a total game changer for so many of my clients and students. If you've been trying to grow Unfair, but your orders have been slow, your market results have been less than desirable, or you're just not getting discovered the way that you know you should, this is for you. So I created a free workshop called the Fair Success Blueprint Workshop, and I teach you the exact framework that my students have used to land brand new retailers, have their best fair markets ever, and even grow their wholesale revenue by over 50% or more compared to last year. We've had some that have grown upwards of like up 500% to last year. Seriously, this is the strategy that is working right now on the Fair platform. In under 45 minutes, I walk you through what buyers are actually looking for on Fair right now, why most brands stay invisible and how to fix it, and a proven 3-step strategy to stand out to sell more on Fair without adding 100 new SKUs or even rewriting your entire page. So if you're ready to finally turn Fair into a consistent, high-performing sales channel, head to kristenfishercoaching.com/fair blueprint or click the link in the show notes. You can watch it right away. You can take notes and get your exact strategy to start showing up like the brand that your dream retailers are already looking for. Hey. Okay, so last episode, we really went deep on defining what success really looks like for you so that you could create a plan for the second half of the year. And I love that. I think that's game changing. It's so much clarity to understand really deeply what you want your business to look like and structure your goals and everything you do around that. So if you haven't listened to episode 92 yet, definitely go back, give that a listen because that really tees this up, or you can always listen to it after this, but it's a really good episode. But here's the thing, there is this underlying, this deeper level to our success that we hold the power to really unlocking, and that is radical responsibility. And radical responsibility is not about beating yourself up, and it's definitely not about saying, well, okay, I guess I need to take accountability for everything that's not gone well for me this year, or everything that's not working is all my fault, and go down that rabbit hole. It's definitely not about that. It's also not about pretending that everything's fine when it's not. What radical responsibility really says is I own my outcomes, even the ones that I don't love, especially those, right? I own my outcomes. So say you didn't hit your sales goals last month. The initial knee-jerk reaction, it's always trying to be play the blame game. That's human nature. The algorithm tanked. Instagram's dead. No one's shopping. The economy isn't doing well. Everyone's distracted. Buyers are afraid to buy. Consumers are afraid to spend. The Fair algorithm doesn't like me. Okay? Instead, for just a minute, what if you said, okay, what if I created this result on some level? I know that that feels really uncomfortable, and you might be thinking well, you just said we're not playing the blame game, and we're not saying that we caused all the problems. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what if, when you really look at it, maybe you actually contributed to some of that by not taking certain actions. Maybe you pulled back on outreach because you were tired and you've been getting ghosted a lot from retailers and you're just like, I need a little break from this. Maybe you didn't really show up that much on Instagram. And so the algorithm wasn't working because when you posted infrequently, it like didn't even know who you were because you haven't been there, right? There's so many things that we can look at and say, all right, there might be something that I could have contributed to this, or maybe I contributed to this. Now, perhaps the algorithm is sucking and perhaps buyers are distracted and not responding to you. But there is a level of responsibility that we have to take with our business results in order to continue moving forward and showing up. And another really big piece of this, perhaps you are a little bit afraid deep down of what will really happen if the sales are pouring in. You could be a little bit afraid that it might mean more late nights, more customer service emails, more work to do to figure out the system for that large retailer, right? More pressure to sustain the momentum. And I know it's really crazy to say or to think about that out loud, but it is true. We say we want success, but then we subconsciously slow ourselves down because we think it might burn us out. I'm not trying to project my subconscious things on you because I definitely fall to this a lot. And I especially have found that it happens during times where things get busier. So for me, I would catch myself doing this a little bit, getting into the holiday season. It was like, oh, I just want to rest, right? So maybe I'm going to subconsciously not post on social media as much or whatever it might be, right? So you start to recognize some of these things where it's like, okay, it's easy to blame. But what if we take that accountability? What if we take that accountability and say, okay, but what actually could happen if it does go well? And how can I set myself up for that? This is what radical responsibility really gets you. It shines a light on all those little fears without judgment, right? And then you get to choose how you show up and how you make it not a fearful thing. Kind of shines a light on where you might have some weaknesses in your business. You know, if you feel like, oh, the idea that it's going to be more work for me to fill more orders whenever I get more sales. Well, yeah, more sales for a product-based business means more orders. But do you have opportunity to be hiring so that when you hit that level of success, you have a team in place that can take those orders off your plate and run with it? Is there opportunity to think about how you can structure your business in a way so that it can take on greater success without burning you out? So you already know this. You have a product brand or you have a retail store or e-commerce shop. Like you already know. It's not just about having the cutest product, the best assortment, the best branding. It's not about that. I mean, if that was the case, then I mean, every single one of you listening would have the most insane business right now because every single one of you listening, I guarantee, has a really awesome brand, really awesome product. It's not about that. Okay. It's the process. It's the follow-up. It's the pricing strategy, the visibility, the fulfillment. So many moving parts. And the second that you stop owning your part in all of that, your growth stalls. So let's just say, okay, your website sales are crappy. Like you're just not seeing sales there. Or fair. I know I talk about fair all the time. Let's just say fair sales are flat. Okay, you might start thinking, okay, direct consumer sales on my website are just, it's not for my brand or my shop. Like people just don't come there. Or maybe fair just doesn't work for me. But then like when you really look at it, what are you doing to get traffic there? How are you pushing people to your direct site or to your fair page? And then when they land there, what are they seeing? Yeah, your product's amazing, but is your imagery on point? Do you have video? What's your product copy look like? Are you driving the conversion? When was the last time you updated your website? I'm not a big fan of getting caught up and constantly updating your website, but if you're not driving traffic there, or if you are driving traffic and they're not converting, you have a leaky bucket. Something's not working, right? How can you fix it? Maybe you have SKUs on your Fair page from 3 seasons ago. When a buyer lands on your page, they're not going to probably want to buy from you because they feel like you haven't updated it, because you haven't. But you're sitting there thinking, why are people not buying from me? And you're thinking about it every single day. Instead of wallowing in those thoughts and blaming the algorithm and blaming all the things, what's in your control? What can you focus on to take control of that? So underneath all of that, if you have been ignoring it, if you have been in that cycle of thinking about why things are not working and maybe not pausing to look at what could be done to actually make the change, maybe it's tapping into those resources that you have or hiring somebody or all the things. Underneath all of that, maybe there's a little bit of fear of rejection, or maybe you're holding on to this belief that in order to really show up, you need to be working, 12-hour days every day. And I don't have time for that. I'm exhausted. The fear that's underlying under all of that, that's having you start thinking, oh, if I get this level of success, then these things are going to happen, or that blaming is oftentimes just your subconscious mind running the show. Radical responsibility doesn't shame you for that. It just helps you to recognize it, to catch it. And then you get to say, okay, I see you. I see what I'm choosing instead. So where does this really show up the most? So let's kind of just call it out. So for sales, are you just passively waiting for things to turn around? Are you just, okay, once the economy gets better and yada, 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 then things are going to turn around collectively for all of us, and then things will be fine for me too? Or are you actively trying to stay ahead of the curve? Are you trying to move the needle? Right? Are you doing the follow-ups? Are you reaching out to stockists? Are you running ads for direct to consumer? Are you doing collaborations? Are you getting yourself on podcasts? Are you trying to get into those gift guides and PR, which actually is more like visibility? But what are you doing to drive traffic and to sell your product? What's your role in it? Because yes, you cannot do anything about the economy, but you also just cannot sit there. Retail is one of the fastest growing industries, the most rapid industries, I should say, to turn around after economic downturns. Historically speaking, after every economic downturn, retail has bounced back faster than every other industry. So it's not going to last forever. And the brands and the retailers that push through, that focus on their profitability, that focus on pushing forward and getting out of their comfort zone and trying new things and staying ahead of the curve and not focusing on the negative, are the ones that will put themselves out ahead of the other brands at the end of the day. And I want that to be you. So another area this shows up in is visibility, which I already kind of like merged those together because I'm just talking off the cuff here. But what I'll say is, are you hiding behind perfection? Are you, I don't know, like spending an hour choosing a reel cover or editing a reel instead of just posting the damn reel? Are you afraid to pitch yourself for gift guides because you're not really sure how to do it? Or you don't feel like your product is perfect for it? Or you're waiting until your website's perfect? Or you have new photography? Are you shying away from making your brand more visible or your shop more visible because it doesn't feel like it's perfect yet? Operations, you could still be taking the hard road because it feels like, well, it's always hard to fulfill orders. It's busy work. And when I get a lot of orders, I have to do a lot of busy work. So are you still doing things in an inefficient way, telling you're going to outsource when it's busier? I'm never a proponent of outsourcing way before you're ready, but I am a proponent of starting the process when you feel like you're on the precipice. Because that is where kind of like that rubber meets the road of all the work that you're putting into place, all the goals that you're focused on and the efforts that you're making and everything you're doing towards the goal. When the goal hits and it's bigger than you ever thought it could be, which is awesome, you want to make sure you're set up for it. So if your goal is to hit a certain sales revenue number or to get in certain retailer accounts, are you prepared on the back end to fulfill that? And if there's a little bit of a gap, you can figure it out. If it's a wild gap, then you either need to quickly figure out your operations and not be afraid of that, or maybe adjust your goal until you are a little closer to being able to make that happen. But it all comes back to owning your role in that and being radically responsible for the role that you play. Okay? It also can come as business owners to like our energy, protecting our energy. So are you saying yes to everything out of fear that you're going to miss an opportunity, like the big break? But then you just like crash and burn and you're just exhausted because you said yes to everything. When you look back, to any of those things actually align to those big goals that you've defined for your definition of success? So there's fear of failure. There's fear of success. There's fear of success equaling harder work. That's a really big one for me personally that I've just continuously been working on from a subconscious perspective. Understanding, why do I feel like success equals hard work? Like I have to, in order to be successful, I have to show that I'm really working hard for it. And I think we really, from my generation at least, like we grew up hearing hard work pays off. Hard work is success. You're successful when you work hard. And my corporate life, it was like the harder you grinded it out, the more success you saw. You got those bonuses, you whatever, until retail started not giving out bonuses as much anymore. I'll keep that aside as a side note. But still, that's just how I think we were really raised. And so undoing some of those things is really hard and really layered. The truth is, when we take a really radical responsibility approach, when we look at the ownership that we face in our business growth, there's so much freedom there. It's how you go, I hope that this works. I think this is going to work. Things are going pretty good, right? To, oh, this is going to work. I'm steering the ship. I am guiding it. There's going to be things hitting me from left and right, but I have that vision. I know that I can control the actions that I am putting into my business. That's all you can control. How you show up in your business, how you delegate in your business, how you outsource, how you get support, how you say yes or no, strengthening that muscle and fine-tuning that muscle to really be the leader of yourself and the leader in your business. So this can look like doing the thing that you've been avoiding. This can look like pitching the dream retailer without waiting for the pitch to be perfect. Just do it. That can be following up with retailers you've already pitched and not being afraid that they're going to be annoyed by you, because they're not. I promise they're not. It could be outsourcing tasks that you're just like, these are really important to my business, and I recognize that by not doing them, I am actually holding my business back. I'm going to outsource it because I hate to do it, but it's important, right? Outsource the things that you don't like to do, but that are actually going to move the needle in your business. It'll be a huge relief. It'll be the best money spent. It could look like blocking off your weekends or taking time for yourself, because it's really important to remove or separate. This is kind of a whole other conversation, but separate rest being a reward. Like, oh, I'm so busy right now, but you know what? Next month, it's going to be so chill, because next month, it's probably not going to be chill. You're never going to get that rest. It's just like last week or last episode, I was talking about celebrating the wins. Like we always put things off, right? Rest is a requirement. You do better whenever you feel better. And so maybe you need to own the fact that you've been burnt out, and then you've therefore not been showing up as the best leader in your own business that you could be, because you're exhausted, because you're taking on all the weight of it without resting. So every time you take little steps like this, every time you allow yourself to rest when it feels uncomfortable, every time you do the thing that you're avoiding because you're afraid of the rejection or you're afraid of it actually going well, and you see the proof that it actually works and that it's actually okay, and that actually you're better off because you did the thing and you faced the thing, you actually are saying to your subconscious self that you trust yourself. And that trust The inner trust muscle is how you build momentum in your business. So let's reframe this a little bit. Let's reframe that responsibility as being a powerful thing for you. So taking responsibility does not mean that your life suddenly becomes a grind and you're like this masculine side, like we always seen growing up from a society perspective of like the masculine CEO who's grinding it out and never home and, whatever. Screw that. It does not mean that life has to become a grind in order to be successful. It actually can mean that life and business can become easier because you're not blaming anymore. You're not spending your energy focused on like the negative, why something's not working. You do need to know why things are not working, but not blaming it on outside factors. You stop waiting for things to happen, and instead you start taking action and doing something. And that something usually leads to momentum in whatever way, right? It might not immediately mean sales, but it might mean you just feel better. And then you start doing it more. You show up more because you're proving to yourself, you're showing yourself that, hey, it's actually not that scary. It's actually really fun. So responsibility is a freedom. It helps you to really go from, I hope that this works, to I'm steering this ship. So ownership is your permission slip to act. It's really that permission slip to act. And you need to define what that means for you, right? What are you hiding from? What do you need support with? What are you avoiding? What role can you take right now when things are not great economically? What is something that you can take ownership on and say, this would make a really big difference in my business and I'm shying away from it? Okay. So we're going to face these fears. We're going to send those pitches. We're going to ask for help. We're going to, do the things. You're going to do the things we've been avoiding and not be afraid of it. All right. So I want you to really pick like one area that just feels like, oh, it's uncomfortable. And you probably, the second I'm talking about all this, you probably had something that popped in your mind and you're like, oh, I know, this is exactly my thing. Because we all know. We all know. So pick the one thing where you feel frustrated or stalled. That could be like systems, visibility, sales, your energy, right? And think about what role did you play in that result, even if unintentionally? What subconscious or conscious role did you play in that? Now I want you to recommit. So it could just be one small thing. Maybe it's not the big, scary thing. We don't want to go from like 0 to 100 and then have you freak out and never do this again. So maybe it's just a little small sub thing. Take that and I want you to just kind of recommit and put it into a little small, tiny time frame. So maybe it's 2 weeks from now or 1 week, or maybe it's by the end of this month. What do you want to be different at the end of that time period? What's something that you can say, I'm going to commit to doing this thing and facing this thing, and I'm going to be okay on the other end. And this is the result that I'll start to see once I do this. Now I want you to just kind of shift something. What is the thing that has to shift to get you pushed out of that discomfort? It might be like getting help, or what's the thing that's going to have you take the action on it and not shy away from it so that you actually move forward with it. That's what I want you to do. I want you to really pick the thing that is not working and have a really honest conversation with yourself. That radical responsibility. What's the role that you're playing in this not working for you? I want you to recommit yourself to facing it and working through that. But first, be really gentle with yourself and understand that there are underlying things that could be contributing to that happening, right? There could be a very deep attachment to something subconsciously that's causing it. So be really gentle on yourself. Don't beat yourself up. We're human beings and we are very layered. We are very layered. So I'm not like, oh, you're going to listen to this podcast and you're going to suddenly never be afraid to do that thing again. I mean, wouldn't that be great, right? No, we're not saying that. What we're saying is take a look at what's happening in your business right now. What's the role that you're playing in something not working? And recommit yourself to being not afraid to face it even just this once. Just digging into it a little bit, understanding a little bit more about yourself and why you might be avoiding something, and say, okay, I'm going to not avoid this one thing. And here's what I need to do in order to make that happen. That's that recalibration, that shifting. So that you're really saying like this action that I'm going to take is going to move me forward, and it aligns with my values. It aligns with that definition of success that I set after listening to the last episode. Okay. See, what I know is that you don't need another plan. You don't need another training. Sometimes you do, right? But in this instance, you just need some quiet and some space to think, which we often do not give ourselves. You really need to just say, this is my business. This is my path. This is how I'm showing up right now. And this is how I'm going to choose to show up going forward. Because no one's going to come and rescue your business. And you are not actually in need of rescuing. You're not in need of the algorithm suddenly turning on. You're not in need of outside factors. You have the solution within you. You have the solution within you. So I want to remind you of that. All the work that you've done, all the growth that you've seen, you built a brand. You built a shop. You built an e-commerce site. You figured out so many things up until this point. So you can do it, right? So even when things feel very spirally outside of us, remember that you are the one that got you this far already. Okay. And so we just have to take that radical responsibility and say, okay, how can I continue pushing forward in a way that feels really good? It's going to open up so many doors for you. All right. So I'm going to leave you with that. I hope that you like this chat. It's a little bit different for me, but it's something that I'm super, super into, very excited about. And I do this work in my own life with my own coach, and it's just so freaking powerful. And I wanted to bring it onto the show here for you today. So if you liked this episode, send me a DM. I'd love to hear from you at Kristen Fisher Coaching over on Instagram. Let me know what you think of it. If you want to hear more chats like this, or if this hit a nerve or resonated with you, I want to hear your thoughts. I always want to hear your thoughts because it helps me to put more content out for you that you love that will help you in your business. All right. I'll see you inside the next episode. Hey friend, quick question for you. Are you feeling stuck with how to get your brand to stand out on Faire? I'm asking you because as a buyer myself, I can tell you that there are just so many brands out there vying for the attention of these buyers, but I know that your brand has something so special and it needs to be seen. I put together a private podcast for you that goes deeper into what buyers are really looking for on the Faire platform and how you can stand out from the crowd to grow your wholesale business and really land those dream buyers. So if this resonates with you, head to the link in the show notes for instant access. Thanks so much for spending some time with me today. If you are loving the show, I would be so beyond grateful if you would rate and review the podcast and share it with one of your biz besties to help spread the word. I hope that you absolutely crush your sales this week. I'll be back to chat with you next Monday.